Welcome back to the Think a Better Thought Deep Dive series. Today we're going to continue with Chapter 5, Why You Need to Sweat It Out. We got a nice quote there too, right? Nurture your mind with great thoughts. Do you ever find yourself worrying about something? Maybe it's payroll. Maybe it's bill you have to pay. Maybe it's a car you have to repair. Maybe it's a kid you got to put through school or something else, right? Unexpected expense. You ever find yourself anxious? Okay. Well, I'm going to suggest that if you're worried or anxious, then you're either living in the past, worrying about what happened, or you're living in the future, worrying about or what I call the wreckage of the future. You don't even know what's going to happen. You're not there. Touch yourself now. You're here. Stay here. Okay. Now, anxious, when I'm talking about feeling stuff, what this is, your feelings are an exceptional tool. I mean, exceptional to help monitor your thought, right? I know that if I'm feeling anxious, and that always happens in my stomach, I start to get, my anxiousness there. Maybe sometimes the back of the neck, but usually it's my gut. Then I know my thinking's not right. I'm usually using some kind of fear in my thinking when I'm doing that. Okay. If I'm feeling good, everything's right with my feelings. I mean, at the end of the day, right, when we're talking about life, and I've talked about money and not to focus on money, focus on the experience, right? At the end of the day, let's say you just are massively successful and you have all the toys, you got all the homes, you just got whatever you want, right? If you're not happy, will it be worth it? I would argue no. The toys and all that stuff are definitely fun. But if you're not happy, if you're not sharing it, enjoying it with others, it's pretty empty. Okay. We're going deep on all these. Okay. So what I want to suggest is to observe what and why you are thinking the way you are. And the more you judge, the more you can observe your thinking without any judgment, the quicker you'll progress. Okay. Now, truth is we all have a past, right? There's something that we all have that we think is rough. Maybe some of us don't. Okay, but a lot of people, they feel like they might have imposter syndrome, maybe, um, or that they think they may have skeletons in the closet. I don't know. Everyone has a past. Everyone has something, that little negative little devil standing on their shoulder telling them they can't. And our egos, they take that and they dramatize it. They've been nice enough to dramatize all that. So that's why we want to sweat it out. You want to get it all out. Just get it all out. I grew up and my parents got divorced early. Don't really have memories at all of a marriage. We didn't have what I would call money growing up. and there was a lot of, I was sick a lot, so there was always kind of a fear of loss growing up, like not having enough. And I carried that into my adulthood. And I think it probably caused a lot of the problems that I had because I focused more on what I might lose or didn't have versus just going out and taking care of business. I got stuck up in here. More of a, you look at everything from a, what's the worst thing that can happen first, and that's no way to live life. Thinking a better thought, it's how great can this get? How can we make it even better? What else could we add to make it even better? Is there anything more? Just keep piling on the good stuff and start playing that game rather than playing the game of what if the sky falls. I call it the what if up game, and I didn't invent it. This other guy named Joe Vitale, I heard it from him. What if up? And you just push up the thought, what if everything's great? I'm looking out my window right now. We can see the edge of this lake. It's been dry in Texas for a while, been a drought in central Texas here in Austin. Well, what if it rained enough tonight to fill it up without flooding anything else? It's more fun to think that way than thinking of what if it never fills up again. I'd rather look for the rain than look for it to never return. Let's take a moment and let's reflect on the types of thoughts you have in your life that are repetitive, okay? What thoughts are repetitive? Are they the same ones day in and day out, or are they changing? Do you often feel stuck? Can't really figure out why? Or maybe you're reliving the same memories over and over and over in your head. I wish you could just flip all that noise off, just like a light switch sometimes. I certainly did. It's really important to understand how your mind became programmed the way it is. You really are going to waste time if you start pointing your finger around, judging people, placing blame on people, places, and things for why your thinking is the way it is. The fastest way to success for me was to let that go, take responsibility. I didn't have to take responsibility that I caused some of the programming, but I do have to take responsibility that I have the programming. And it's my job to decide what to do with it, really, which I can clean it out, which is what we're talking about here, negative programming. I can keep it and try and ignore it, but that's not going to work. All right. Understanding where that came from can just kind of help you realize, okay, maybe it wasn't all me, but still I need to be able to let it go. And how do you let it go? Is this thought helpful for me, or is this thought hurtful? for me? Is this belief helpful for me, or is it hurtful for me? You can take everything. And why not? Why not do an inventory on your life and see how things are now? You know, you're probably pretty busy, right? Things are moving around. It's the holidays. You've got expectations all around, right? The news is wonderful. If you're watching that, I don't watch the news. You shouldn't either. But you can be busy, right? You can forget. You can forget the simple things, and you can fall into habits that you're not even aware of. And then one leads to another, to another. So why not take a little inventory and start asking yourself, is this good for me? Is this book helpful or hurtful for me? Is watching these videos with Shane helpful or hurtful for me? Is what I'm eating right now, is this good for me or not? You can start shortening it up, good or bad. Help or no? Yay or nay? Find what works for you. That's the fun of it, is you got to find what works for you. This is what works for Shane Duke Boring. And I shared it because the concepts are kind of the same. I just shared how I put it all together. You have to figure out how to put it all together for you. Everybody's different. If you take and do everything word for word every time, you're going to find that something just doesn't click. You got to throw in your own ingredients or take some out and put some in. The only way to do that is to start doing it. So, okay. Training exercise. Honor the people in your past where they are honorable. So if there are people who have caused programming that is a roadblock that you need to remove, but they're still in your life, figure out a way where you can honor them, okay? In order to set the right foundation for your mindset moving forward, it's imperative you take a good hard look at how you got where you are now. Usually there's someone that we have to forgive and a thought we have to get rid of, because it's as though our minds are infected. For today, your training exercise is to acknowledge that you have an infected way of thinking and to commit to cleaning it out. Time to match up with your ego. What am I thinking right now? Is this helping or hurting me? Why am I thinking this? Is this happening now? Is this thought real? Use the powers of observation to help you gain clarity on what you're thinking. Do not worry. Do not try to change your thoughts. Just observe. Observe, observe, observe. That's where the magic is. The magic happens all in observation. If you observe it to be false, it's not good. Watch what happens. Watch how fast that stuff starts to go away. If you do it one time and then come back next week and do it one time and that's about it, it's not going to work. Remember, this is a daily thing. All right, you ready to go deeper? You remember when we, very beginning, first one, we took the positive thought, one of the best experiences we ever had in our lives. We tried to focus on that one single thought for 20 seconds. When you're done with this video, find the time today, even if you have to stay up a little longer, it'll be worth it. Take that thought Time yourself, put an alarm on. Focus on that thought for 20 minutes straight. Dig into it. Relive the moment. Be there. Feel it. Feel the happiness. 20 minutes. Stay there in your mind until that alarm goes off. Trust me. If you stuck with me so far and you've done all this, you're going to be ready to do this. Okay? All right. Well, oh, you know what? We're already thinking a better thought because usually I close my book. Next chapter coming up. What you have to look out for. Yeah. I'm going to talk about what to look out for. Ooh. I thought I was a real stud, and then I kind of got knocked off my feet up here while I was writing this book. It's a funny story. I'll tell it. All right, guys. Enjoy your day. Thanks for sticking with me. And remember, think a better thought.